1960 was the year of the student-led lunch counter sit-ins. Lunch counters were the first fast food providers of that time. McDonald's and Burger King were just getting started. The lunch counters were similar to a diner, where the patron sits on a stool on one side of the counter and the server is on the other side of the counter, where the kitchen or limited food pre-area is located. Many would patronize these lunch counters during their work lunch breaks, where they could get a value meal. One can get a burger, fries, Coke, even a slice of pie, all for under $1. Most of the large stores had lunch counters. Nationally, there were over 30,000 lunch counters in drug and department stores. Many were large chains like Woolworths, McCroy's, and Crest stores, all excluding African Americans from its lunch counters. African Americans were encouraged to shop at these stores, but not permitted to eat at these stores. The lunch counters were for white patrons only. Blacks were not even allowed to try on merchandise or make returns. In February of 1960, 4 students from North Carolina A&T staged the country's first lunch counter sit-in in Greensboro, North Carolina. By April of that year, students nationally were conducting freedom rides and sit-ins. They were dressed immaculately and protested with a song. It was a new generation that wanted civil rights now. They didn't have the patience of their elder leaders. They felt Jim Crow had no place in their generation. On Howard University's campus, a young man named Lawrence Henry had formed a civil rights group called Nonviolent Action Group. They started by picketing the nation's Capitol building, but received very little attention. Henry decided to emulate the Greensboro sit-ins. His integrated group targeted Alexandria first, then moved on to Arlington, Virginia. On June 9th, the integrated group began to sit at People's Drug Store at Lee Highway and Glebe Road. They were refused service. They moved down the highway to Cherrydale, where they were again refused service. Counters would close until the protesters left the premises. This now famous photograph shows Howard student Dion Diamond being harassed by the American Nazi Party, who were headquartered nearby in Arlington. Dion Diamond, also a divinity student, was born in Petersburg, Virginia, where he began doing sit-ins at the age of 15. He took part in freedom rides with Congressman John Lewis. His nickname was Crazy Dion Diamond. Today, he is a pastor in Washington, D.C. Gwendolyn Green, later Gwendolyn Britt, was a known freedom rider in the 1960s. and spent 40 days in jail in Jackson, Mississippi, where she was also a voter registration volunteer, helping African Americans register to vote when they had been denied. She was also arrested with 4 others at Glen Echo Theme Park in Glen Echo, Maryland, while protesting to desegregate the park. The case was taken to the Supreme Court and was victorious. She became a Maryland state senator in 2003 and died in 2008. Arlingtonian Joan Mulholland participated in many sit-ins and was considered proficient during these sit-ins, and she was highly experienced. Her activism was not always understood because she was a Southern white woman. She went on to protest further into the South and has become a civil rights icon. Lawrence Henry and Dion Diamond were convicted in Arlington for the Howard Johnson sit-in. Their sentences amounted to 10 days suspended sentences and $25 fines. The judge recognized the incident as a civil rights test case. Lawrence Henry died in 1980 after years of pastoring a church in Philadelphia. On June 23rd, after 13 days of protesting, 21 counters opened up to Black patrons.